What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review from our favorite sad queen, Julien Baker. The new album is called Turn Out the Lights, and she certainly accomplishes doing that with this record. I mean, yes, there are flakes of hope that pop up here and there, but just talk about turning out the lights, getting into an emotional state, and feel what she is feeling. For those of you who have never listened to Julien Baker's music before, she is kind of an indie, under-the-radar artist. She is putting out an album now on Matador Records. I'm hoping maybe a little bit more exposure is coming her way. She did the Tiny Desk concert in 2016 or else early 2017 for NPR, and that was my first exposure to Julien Baker, and I was blown away not only by her voice, but by the simplicity and just beauty of the music. There's such an allure and appeal to her in general. And to see these sad songs just come to life, I have to wonder exactly what she goes through in life. And on her debut album, Sprained Ankle, she had the title track, and she starts it off by just explicitly stating, "Wish I could write songs about anything other than death." And you're just like, okay, damn, okay, it's getting dark quickly. If you thought it was dark there, prepare to turn out the lights, because this record has more of a piano tinge to it. The first one was more guitar driven, and if you listen to her music, you notice the ambient atmosphere that really just shines a light on mainly one instrument and then her vocals. And here, it is just a mixture between guitar and piano, and it's an emotional roller coaster. She has done it yet again, and I loved her single that she put out this year. Sprained Ankle was a really solid debut LP. This new one is great too, and I have to wonder what could be next, but for now, let's focus on the task at hand. This record does a great job, like I said, balancing out two different sides, and it opens up on a familiar note. You have the intro song Over, and that blends perfectly into the atmospheric Appointments, which is guitar-centric, shining down on those vocals as well, and I love this one. She's talking almost about setting herself up for failure. Maybe I shouldn't miss any more appointments. There's many layers to peel back in her music, and the lyrics, of course, are the main thing that you're going to be focusing on here. And while not every single song may be life-altering or changing, I think that a lot of people are going to latch onto this music because it is relatable, and I think that it does play up the dramatic angle, but at the same time, sometimes whenever you were down in the bottom of that pit of despair, that's whenever you find and channel the sadness into a song. And that's exactly what she does here as she crafts up this batch of 11 songs, just over 40 minutes, but it doesn't feel bloated. This feels just like an album that you want to listen to from start to finish. Televangelist is a breathtaking song. I love the comparisons that she makes between herself and like one of those TV preachers that get all worked up and angry and like, oh, I'm somebody's possessed, I'm gonna put some holy water on them. And then she's able to take that whole thing and I guess the misguided feelings of how she feels about that and being a Christian herself, and then talks about how she's so hard on herself in the process. Just a really smartly layered song that doesn't feel too dense, but you're able to comprehend it just after a couple of listens. And that's what does it for me with her music in general. I like music that's not like super like too over the top. I'm having to decode all these messages. I have to have a special decoder ring. Here, you just listen to it, you pay attention a couple of times, and boom, you're starting to get it. I found myself oddly relating to the title track here, which is just another one where you just kind of sit back in awe. It's kind of like the curtain should drop afterwards and everybody should applaud and she should come back out for an encore. Turn Out the Lights is that good. That one, along with Hurt Less, are my absolute favorites on this record. But with Turn Out the Lights and myself relating to it, I say that because of the opening message on this one. She's talking about looking at the drywall and there's a hole in it. And she's using that as a metaphor, but she's like, I'm starting to get used to it, and it's how, you know, we get used to these problems in life and we just let them go unfixed. Well, I currently have a hole in my drywall. Yeah. Julien Baker, do you know anybody? Do you know any good people that could help me out? I do have a good handful of top favorites, but Hurt Less is another big one for me because we get this very vivid scenery here and we get a good clear snapshot of what's going on in her mind. She talks about how she didn't used to wear a seatbelt because she didn't really care, and now she's trying to care more, maybe because of a specific person or a relationship or just trying to better herself. And I think that that spark of hope that I mentioned at the beginning of this review that's what keeps her holding on and going in the day to day. And it's fascinating to see this kind of unravel throughout the album, and we get a great closer in the form of Claws in Your Back. That one just kind of ties up loose ends, and I love the added dramatic flair on that one. There's even strings on a couple of these tracks that really just sew this thing up nicely. But I think on the track Appointment, she also speaks of everything not being all right and her finding herself having to reassure herself, saying, even though not everything is going to be okay, we're going to have to be okay with that. The soaring vocals at the end of Sour Breath are phenomenal. The harder I swim, the faster I sink. That's going to be the line that sticks in everyone's heads. Everything That Helps You Sleep is another great anthem right there, especially as that song picks up in its intensity, and even the acoustic-led song Even. There's just so many good songs here. The only downfall, I would say, is that sometimes it can be a bit much in terms of the emotions and the sadness, and you're like, I don't want to listen to this, I'm in like a happy mood, I didn't expect to cry today. Go into this expecting to feel some feels, be sad, and you will not be let down. I really can't call out any tracks as being like super weak. Like I said, the only pitfall for me is the fact that not all of them are as noteworthy as others, but none of them do not belong here, if that makes sense. For me personally, really like this. I know that maybe not a ton of you guys checked out this review, but I hope that you did, and if you made it to the end of the video, please leave a like if you want to see more indie reviews and that sort of thing. I'm glad that I discovered Julien with that Tiny Desk concert. I think it was early this year. Anyways, for me, on her new album, Turn Out the Lights, I'm going to give it a strong 4 out of 5, and I do hope you guys will check it out. Patreon exclusive podcast is launching this week, so make sure you are on Patreon supporting. It's that annotation there, or top link in the description. $5 or more per month gets you access to the podcast. You can see my review of Julien's first album right here. Another indie review here, socials in the description, and I'll see you soon right here on ARTV.